Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the next edition of our Inspirational Double Acts series with Rachely and Meir Plancey. Thank you very much for joining us. Some people will already be aware of your work, but I guess, can you just explain the backdrop, how Camp Simcha, became what it is today?
Okay, so a whistle-stop tour of Camp Simcha. 25 years ago, when I was studying in Israel, and in yeshiva, I was living with a family whose young 5-year-old child developed a brain tumor. And over the coming weeks, months, and years, I got to see firsthand the effects of distractions during a really tough period of time. If you take that in the most simplistic way, I came back to the UK and thought, how can we bottle that? So every time, at the time it was only dealing with children with cancer, but every time a child was on chemo or going through treatment, and you spent a segment, whether it was a minute, 5 minutes, an hour, or a half-a-day trip somewhere, there was a total distraction from what was going on then. I mean, medical advances have gone huge advances from when it was to when it is now, but the concept still remains, the distraction and instilling that quality of life during a really tough time. And that actually hasn't changed. Our ethos has really maintained. We are disrupting the pain and suffering and injecting it with a huge amount of quality. And that has been the momentum and the ethos that hasn't changed all the way through. And now we've got the ability of hindsight. So we're dealing with, even the child I dealt with when I was in Israel, he's a young man, thankfully he's, gone through that challenge and moved on. But we've now got that hindsight with the impact it had and has to now build on our future, which is a really exciting opportunity.
Amazing. Also, yes. the word injection is probably the correct word to use nowadays as well. Amazing. So just facts and figures. So Camp Simcha has been now going for how long?
25 years in 25 February. Years. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Oh yes, February's a big month. That's right. 25 years. Wow. Okay. So how many people have kind of I don't know if you can say passed through the doors, but how many people have you interacted with?
I'd say in the last 25 years, thousands of family members have been helped by Camp Simcha. As Meir said in the beginning, it was primarily children with cancer, but over these 25 years, we've moved a long way since just dealing with children with cancer, and now we deal with over 50 different types of conditions, wow. Chronic conditions, genetic conditions, life-threatening conditions, premature babies. Recently, we've started helping families, all different types of areas. And so I would say thousands of children have kind of passed through us. And
actively working on about 2,000 a year or so.
Oh, that's incredible. Gosh, yeah. Did you realize where it could get when you started 25 years ago?
No, it's unbelievable. I mean, we have to say, this is a huge infrastructure now, and the team that are running every part of this are unbelievable.
We have a great team working in Camp Simcha. Fantastic. So very much a family feel within the staff, with our wonderful chief executive, Neville Goldschneider, with all the team under us. And I run a great team of family liaison officers. So when I assess a family, I link them up with an amazing family liaison officer who's there linked to Camp Simcha. And I have a wonderful team of 14 ladies who work with families 24/7, and they do incredible work.
Wow.
Effectively, everyone does the hard work and I take the credit, which is a setup actually.
Okay, that brings us nicely onto the next kind of mini segment, which is, the series is called Inspirational Double Acts, hence there being two of you in front of the camera. Working together, firstly, in general, how does that work? What are your greatest tips for working in partnership, or in general, working with other people, and of course, working with each other?
So I think over the years, I have to say, when Camp Simcha started, it was literally just the two of us, and I think very quickly you identify everyone's strengths, and when you have implicit trust and knowing when an action is done, it's done for the right reasons, and well, I certainly know when it's done by Rachely, it's done better than I could do it, and therefore I think that unity of developing that solid foundation then filters through. I think whether it's charity, whether it's a business, you know, when you develop something and you develop effectively the foundations, it then spills over to every part of that charity. And I think, you know, whilst now there's a very specific role that Rachely undertakes, and I think that there's no overlap, but it's just everybody knows what they're doing, and that implicit trust of knowing what to do is there going.
Yeah, and I think working with something that, you know, your husband sort of brought from it being a baby step to something so much bigger, I've always got the ability to pass everything by Meir and his opinions, and I know he's as passionate about something that I am. I think for a couple to have the same passion is probably quite unusual, and we're quite fortunate that we both have that. So that's really helpful.
Right, that's incredible, very inspiring as well. Do you feel that it brings out each other's qualities, or qualities that you may have not realized otherwise in terms of working together? Feel free to totally pass on that, by the way, but you know, I can ask it anyway.
I have to say, when I came back from yeshiva, you know, and there was this concept in its embryonic stages, you know, and then I got engaged and married, and Rachely was then, you know, introduced to this infancy of something happening. And actually, thankfully, you know, yeah, I didn't know that actually Rachely would take it and say, actually, yes, now let's build this up into something mammoth. This wasn't something I knew. It was, you know, thank God it went that way, you know, because it could have, if you're not aligned, I have absolutely no doubt if it wasn't aligned and we weren't both aligned, we would not, Camp Simcha wouldn't have carried on. We wouldn't have had that momentum to do what we could do. I think, you know, our remit at the very beginning to build this up, you know, I was the most horrendous fundraiser, you know, and putting it together and trying to put those pieces together and formulate that whilst Rachely overtook, you know, and then service the families. We were learning and developing, and now thankfully I don't have to get involved directly in that area, and Rachely's focuses on her strengths as well, but we've got a whole infrastructure to take up and do what they're good at as well.
Great, brilliant. Tips for working together. Let's say two people sometimes, obviously not in your case, let's say would have not a different major vision, but you know, differences. I'm sure, you know, there've been different ideas and we should go with this or we shouldn't go with that. How would you advise people who are watching this to deal with those differences?
Well, I think let's talk about lockdown itself brings its own set of challenges. So one tip that we do very often is we go through our week on a Sunday night. So we share calendars, we see exactly what meetings we have now with homeschooling. It's added a little extra fun into the whole mix.
Don't mention homeschool. We're not mentioning homeschooling. The blood pressure is going out, you know.
Kind of, you know, working on a Sunday, just working out what our diaries are like, where we can help each other, where one of us needs more help than the other. I think that's a great tip for everybody in whatever situation you're in. Share diaries. If it's two people who are working full time, it's a great help.
Yeah, that's very good, down to earth as well. Great. And in terms of if there are any differences, what do you advise people to, you know, how to deal with that?
I think the way, you know, Rachely just said, I think if your goals are both the same, if you're both aligned in what you want to achieve, and for Camp Simcha, you know, it's the best outcome, the best impact, the best. You might have different ways to get there, but you know, two adults understanding that you're both aligned to where you need to get to, that conversation happens. And I don't think I'd be arrogant enough and say, here's the blueprint, or saying this is the way to do it. I think, you know, two people who know and are aligned, who want to get to the same place, have that conversation, and I think have implicit trust. I can't think of a scenario, but if there was a field that Rachely is much more passionate about and understands that world more than I do, then I would let that decision be made with Rachely, because that is the right decision. Even if I thought of a different way, I'd suggest it. And if that could be used, then great. And if not, then Rachely's right.
It's a mutual respect for each other and knowing what each other's strengths are, and being open to that and honest about that, and know which one of us can do each thing to the best that we can do it. You know, I think that's probably a useful tip as well.
All right, that's fantastic. I guess, look, time is running away, and I understand school, I mean, whatever various errands and pickups are probably necessary. Where do you see Camp Simcha, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years time? Am I allowed to ask that? Let's go for yes.
Yeah. It's a poignant time for us because it's 25 years now, coming now February, and we have our match funding campaign taking place next month, and it's a lot of questions about where do you see it's going to be in the next, so I have been asked that before. I think our ethos has always remained the same, and I think we want to exist to achieve that no Jewish child out there with a serious illness who wants help from Camp Simcha are not helped. So I think we are always looking to do more, always looking to find the child in any part. We're national, we're all over the UK. We want to know that any child out there who needs our support gets it.
I think, from us, taking us back 25 years ago, there were childhood cancers that had a 5% chance of success. That same condition now, there's a 95% chance of success. It's turned itself on its head, literally, with the medical advancements. And I think if we were so stuck in our ways and say, well, we only deal with that type, I think our services would not be able to reach out to the far and wide. We are looking at all our services constantly, and to ensure that we are always having the biggest impact and the most impact. And we have changed and adapted, and we've got a medical panel that assesses what our services do and who we can help and how we can reach, and we evolve. So I think what we have done and what we are doing will continue, but that doesn't mean staying the same. That just means moving forward with, please God, the advances that we are carrying on and seeing, and just adapting to the needs that are out there.
Brilliant.
Chronic conditions, long-term conditions that affect quality of life, that may not be life-threatening, but really impact a family on a day-to-day basis. We want to look at that more, and we want to remember that we want to keep that family feel. Lots of people in Camp Simcha will tell you it does feel like a family, and I think for us, as we grow bigger, we want to hold on to that feeling that everybody still has that uniqueness, everyone still feels that they're very well cared for. I think that's something we really want to strive to keep.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we've got those points where now, because we've got hindsight, we've got children that are now adults reminiscing about some of their worst times of their lives, interceded with some of the best times of their life. And that, for us, the irony and the most amazing part of that keeps the stability. And as you say, did we realize what? No, we didn't realize. But also we don't, and I don't think we still realize the huge impact it has when creating families stability, keeping that unit together during a really tough time, and giving that quality of life gives the stability to hopefully, during looking back at those periods of time, for the siblings, for the parents, for the child, that gives them that element that is so far reaching, and that's what we want to continue going forward.
Amazing. Look, it's inspiring. I can't believe 25 years. I mean, you only look about 35, both of you. So to start it when you were 10, clearly.
No, I haven't. Say it now.
But look, amazing. Please God, you should continue to be successful, really changing other people's lives, giving them the strength and the wherewithal, to both survive and thrive family-wise and in individual cases, in these tough situations. Thank you so much for the time. We really, really do appreciate it. And look, Camp Simcha should have tremendous success.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Lovely speaking with you.
Well.
Bye-bye.